wach werden.
Hello and welcome everybody. Today we're going to play another installment in the second book of Daughter of Alba, Adventures in Chrysaea. Today's title is Diabasis, and I'm not going to reveal what that is in English until after the session. So, you still know where you are. You've reached the horses. You have just had a revelation from a goddess, Artemis or Thea, in which you saw what fate has installed for you. You will kill a really, really bad demon, but at the same time, this demon is going to kill and will kill Siobhan. This has been declared your fate. Siobhan doesn't want to die, but she's kind of cool with it if this means ridding the world of some great evil. You have kind of like a counter argument. You're not so happy with the prospect.
I don't care about any demons, world-saving things. Nobody is killing Siobhan, period. Decision made.
And now you have you've reached the horses again, so you can do one of two things. Well, you can do many things, but if you want to go back to your family, and to your aunt's house, because at some point you wanted to have the dinner there.
Yeah.
The easiest way is to go back to the temple and then take the road. Or you could also cut cross country.
No, we would go back to the temple because Aisling, I just wanted to say Tayo because I read Tayo. Let me change that because my brain is slow today and will do weird things. Aisling would like to have just a quick stop at the temple, at least to say thank you for the help.
Okay, so by the time you reach the temple, you know it will be dark, so you could also still
then
ask
we can
for
stay there
shelter.
overnight, and then because I'm quite sure they will give us a shelter again for a night.
So you reach the temple without. I mean, this is Monofrastos. Nothing ever happens because it is very secure.
Yep.
You arrive at the temple. This temple is busy, a lot busier than the one of Athena, and there are always acolytes or priestesses around. Do you want to speak to Gorgo, the head priestess?
Yeah.
She comes to you, so you're asked to wait in the actual temple, and she comes to you and she says, "Well, my child, did you find your answer?"
No, but still thank you for the attempt.
Did the goddess not reveal herself to you?
She did. Still not helpful, but well.
Oh?
God. I just wanted to say thank you, at least for an option.
You are very
maybe get
welcome, but I'm also
answer.
quite very happy that I've met you. I really, really liked your mother, and I
That
was
is-
very sad to see her go, but at least her spirit lives on in you. I can see that.
It kind of does, I think, after what I heard about her. And yeah, we just wanted to ask then as well if we could stay for a night,
Of course,
so we can tomorrow morning go back. to
of
my
course.
aunt.
We will give you the same room. You
Thank
can have
you
breakfast tomorrow and then be on your merry way.
So much, but yeah, as you now get confirmed again, it's still working. She's still there in the mountain.
Of course she is. I know she is. She's with me every day.
And she's definitely a goddess. Cryptic as always.
You see, I think sometimes we are as cryptic to them as they seem to us. I do not really believe that the gods can understand the human condition. They are too different. It's like speaking to a tree.
But they behave as if they know everything and are better than everything.
They know certain things better. They can definitely see into our hearts.
And ignore what they see, yes, probably.
I'm not so sure.
I hope they ignore it, or they can't see it, because if not... anyhow, as I said, thank you so much. And we will keep this place in good memory.
And I will keep you in very good memory.
Thank you so much.
and she basically, one of the acolytes, shows you to the room. It's the same room again, but it has been cleaned in the meantime, so there's fresh straw and stuff, straw pallets. And she also brings, she leaves and she comes back with a jug of water, some milk, and the usual fare, you know, like flatbread, olives, and some goat's cheese.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk to Siobhan at all about this, or do you just want to kind of like ignore it?
I don't think Aisling has anything to talk about. She shared what she saw. She shared her clear opinion that she doesn't give a damn. This will not happen, period. And with that, it's kind of done for Aisling. The trip was not, well, the travel to the cave was kind of useless for Aisling, but the trip here to learn about her mother was absolutely fine. So, but it's not just by body language and so on. Aisling is not like closing up, shutting down. She would probably just sit now, clean a few of her things, and would just pass time until maybe. I'm not sure, but I could imagine that the girls have some kind of like a little game they can do also during traveling in the evening. I don't know, like a few stones that with a grid you can push around, or whatever kind of game we can think of, or cards, or I don't know, something like that.
I'm pretty sure that you have possibly even dice.
Or dice, that might be also. They're playing.
So,
what was Orlog?
Orlog, yeah.
Orlog. They play Orlog, which
Yeah,
is
they play.
not
You, that would make perfect sense because you've got the different gods with the different abilities. That you're playing Orlog. For those of you who don't know what this is, play
Google
Valhalla. Sorry, is it Assassin's Creed?
It's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yeah. It's a really fun game, I have to say.
Yeah, and you can buy the game, actually. I was given it for my birthday, which was super. And it's a really fun game.
Because you also don't need to carry around much, so it's quite easy to have around. And I think then Aisling would even ask Siobhan if she's up for a round or two.
And she is, and the two of you play a couple of rounds, because we learned also that the game plays really quickly, so you can play a lot of rounds in a very short period of time.
Yep.
And so at some point you do go to bed.
Yep.
She prays. And then she falls asleep.
Then let's fall asleep. And we will be on our horses next morning.
After breakfast, you have your horses ready. You go, and you arrive. It's about 4 or 5 hours with a stop in Amyklai to just basically water the horses, get water yourself, and then you arrive. I would say at around possibly even shortly after 2 o'clock, because you don't leave that early because you know you don't have to.
Yeah.
And do you go to your aunt's house, or do you go to the house that has been given you?
I think we would first go to the house that has been given to us, so we can put the horses, clean them up, give them some water, maybe dust off some of the dirt from the road. And then Aisling would just have a quick walk over to talk to her aunt, because in her mind it would be too much to ask that we have the dinner this night, because it's quite short-handed. So she would hi, we're back, and B, if we want to do the last dinner then tomorrow evening, and then afterwards that we leave, because that gives us also the rest of today and tomorrow also to do whatever we want before we leave town.
Okay, so you're back.
Yes, it took a little bit longer than planned.
We got a message.
That is good that it worked. I just want to make sure that you were not worried. But I learned a little bit more about my mother.
What did you learn about her?
She has her very own mind.
She did?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, so do you?
Yeah, and she followed her heart and belief as best she could.
She did. She was very special to me.
Still not sure if she misunderstood something, but well, I shouldn't be. I'm still quite thankful that she left, because if not, there wouldn't be a me. So, yeah, no, it was nice to do the trip and, as I said, learn a little bit more, because I see more and more of her in me now, at least. Well, a little bit in looks, but also in character, which is really nice to see.
So then, how about we have your dinner, your farewell dinner tomorrow, and then
That would
you
be
can leave the next day.
lovely, if that is not too short-handed for you and your team servants. Staff is it then in this case would be.
Yeah.
We would love to have it tomorrow evening.
Very well. But before you leave, I have something for you. I do not want to give it to you tomorrow in front of everybody.
Okay.
This is something that belonged to your mother. She gave it to me before she left. But I think you should have it. It is quite rare. It is very difficult to come by, but she and her group came by it fair and square. And she hands you a piece of cloth, which is basically a wrapping for something.
Yeah. I would very carefully unwrap it.
You see a leather necklace kind of thing, so basically something to put around your neck. And on it, you see a boar's tusk that has been delicately cleaned. It has been carved. And it has basically, somebody made a hole through it so that you can wear it on this necklace. And now, okay, well, you are a hunter. You do know that hunting boar is very dangerous. Lots of people have tried and failed and died. And that this is one of the trophies that is most prized, because a boar only has 2 of them. And for her to have achieved this as her prize means that she must have been really at the forefront of all of this.
Yeah.
And she says, well, our children learn how to hunt. And this is one of the things that we consider one of the best examples of a hunter, because you need cunning, you need a lot of patience, and when the time comes, you need a lot of strength and resolve.
They are beasts. It's difficult to really kill them and not be killed quicker by them.
And very strong. Lots of people think, oh, they are just pigs, but they are not just pigs. We revere them. We know that, and we do not just kill them lightly. I remember eating from this beast.
I usually at least try to stay away from them, if it's possible. They are easier things to catch. Are you sure you want to part with that? That's one of the last things you have from Mother.
Not quite. Now I have you. I have memories of you. I know that you are here, somewhere, that my sister had a daughter, and what a daughter that was.
Well, thank you very much. I will care for it, and it will stay with me for sure.
She would have wanted you to have it.
And I think Aisling would just hesitate and would then look at her aunt again. Would it also be okay if I wear it, or is it only just for keepsake?
No, you can wear it, of course. That's why I put this on this leather thong.
Then Aisling would actually put it around her neck and tie it up. And she would give her aunt definitely a big smile and a hug as thank you.
She hugs you back.
And now I think I need to clean up. I'm still a bit dirty from the roads. It's very dry around here, I have to say. It's very... For us at home, it's usually just more... it's always a little bit wet and damp, and it's more the mud. Here, it's really more the dust that sticks with everything.
That is true. run along home and say hi to your friend from me.
I will do that. Thank you so much. Should we bring anything for tomorrow? Or
Just yourselves.
we can do that. And Aisling will, a little bit childishly, run off, really. It's like a little hop and then she's running. And she will return back to the house.
She has not been idle. She has been preparing a meal.
Then Aisling will happily plonk herself at the table.
Oh, you're back. How was it?
Well, it was nice and short, and I already can say, in case anyone is hearing my neighbors, I have no idea what they're doing upstairs. Because it's going on since 7 o'clock now. I don't know if they're renovating or so. It's a bit weird. And it was a short talk. We will have dinner tomorrow. The only thing we have to bring is ourselves. And I got a gift. And she would just hold on the necklace a little bit.
And she comes closer and she says, "Oh, this is beautiful."
My mother, it belonged to my mother. She was one of the hunters that killed the big boar. So she got one of the tusks.
That is very impressive. And also, this is an heirloom from your mother. That must be so precious to you. I'm glad.
And I'm very glad my aunt put it on a necklace. So I will definitely wear this. Maybe my mother will keep me safe when no one else is doing it next to you.
I'm sure of it.
A little bit more help will not hurt.
Dinner should be ready in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Would you like some tea first?
Yes, but let me set up the tea. And Aisling will get up, will set up the kettle or grab water, set up the kettle to boil. And then we will have tea with dinner.
So you have tea, you have dinner. She's actually made some form of stew. So stifado. And it's lovely. She has started to cook. Obviously, she's learned or decided to learn how to cook local foods. And she's doing a fair enough job. She's still kind of like some of those herbs. She still kind of squanders a little bit and puts in a little bit too much. But she's getting there. But it's good. It's always good. It's edible. But you know, when you then eat it, let's say at your aunt's, it does taste slightly more expertly made.
But I think Aisling is fine. I think she's not picky with food, especially they have traveled a long time, and during travel you don't use much to anything, and herbs you just put together what you have and that's it. So she enjoys, I think, everything where someone is just taking some effort to make a nice meal.
And then basically time passes. It's the evening now. You can play a couple more games. Do you want to go to the bathhouse one more time to basically get...
I think that might be a good idea after the travel, just also to relax it a little. Then at least tomorrow we are sparkling, shining, bright and clean. Yeah. Before we hit the road again and get dirty.
So I think
the bathhouse is a good idea to do that again.
And then basically you retire, you go to bed. Next day, do you want to do anything special on your last day?
Aisling would ask Siobhan if she wants to make a short stop at, if I could remember his name, Farnes? Farnes. At least to say goodbye and see if he's there. That might be a good idea.
So the two of you make your way to Farnes' house.
Yeah. And knock on his door and see if he's there.
Who knocks? Is it you or Siobhan?
I would knock. Okay. Except she wants to, but I think she will be... Yeah.
The door opens. Hello. I guess
you. It's Farnes, okay.
It's Farnes, yes.
Just with hello, it's like,
hello. Hello.
Hello. Who are you? Good-looking brother of Farnes. We wanted to say our goodbyes. We are leaving tomorrow.
You are leaving tomorrow?
Yes.
That was a very short stay.
Very true, but we got everything we wanted to come here for much more, so it's time for us to return back home.
Then I wish you both a very safe journey.
Thank you for the nice meetup here. It's always interesting to meet people and learn a bit more around here. So, and thank you for taking care of her. she will be like a smile, and she will just extend hand to shake his hand, because
He
that's
shakes your hand, and then he turns to Siobhan and he says, I wish you only good for the rest of your life, and may it be long. And Siobhan cannot help herself. She gives him a hug. He looks at you completely startled. And then he hugs her back. It's a little bit of a funny sight, because there is this bear of a man 2 meters tall, and he basically just hugs this tiny person. And then, you know, the two of them part, and then he wishes you both a pleasant journey. And may the gods look after you.
And after you, thank you.
And then he basically leans forward and says, and please look after her.
I will, although I think she has more to look after me. I'm the troublemaker here.
He smiles.
And yeah, we would leave, we'll probably give a last wave. And I think Aisling would propose, since we still have a little bit of the day, if we want to see the caves once more, the crystal caves, because they were really, really pretty.
They were.
And it was easy enough to get there and be back
No
for
problem.
evening easily.
Yeah,
So that would be like having a little bit of a snack in a bag with us, and then go there to just have this sung in, because I think that was the most memorable place here.
Yeah, and it is really beautiful. So you go there and you enjoy the sight, because today is actually a day when there is a little more wind, so you see a lot of clouds, the white kind of like sheep clouds, really flitting across the sky really quickly, which means, of course, that the sun is sometimes obscured a little, and that gives a very interesting effect, because sometimes you have all of the light and then you only have some of the light, and it is really lovely. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's also, let's see how she does. It's also kind of it's not calming for her, because she kind of cannot really rest her eyes, because she basically wants to take it all in, but it's beautiful, and it's lovely. Yeah, so you spend some time there, and then you go home, and then it's time for the evening meal. But Siobhan has actually taken the time to collect some flowers, to pick some flowers. So she's got a bunch of flowers that she now is going to tie together and say, I know you said we shouldn't bring anything, but flowers are something that you can always bring.
I think my aunt will love those.
And basically there is a lot of poppy and blue and red poppy, so it looks really lovely.
Maybe a little bit of, what do we say, lavender they would have as well,
yes,
right?
lots
So
of
the purple, I think that might look pretty
that
in
looks,
between as
that
well.
looks pretty, yeah. And then you basically walk to your aunt's house, and she has invited a couple of guests. So she has invited Fano, the priestess of and some of the elderly ladies that were there when they taught Siobhan how to dance. And her 2 sons are there as well, Telemachos and Astyanax. One of them is already grown up, he's 21, and the other one is young, he's 10. And so the food is a lot more splashed out than usual, because it's a feast. It's excellent. There is wine as well. Siobhan drinks, and the problem with her is that alcohol isn't really her thing. Let's see if she... Oh my god!
Do I need to carry her home?
She's drunk.
Oh God, yeah, I will make sure she gets some. Aisling would drink little, but not much, because tomorrow's travel day. She doesn't want to be like having a heavy head, so she would drink a bit, but not really that much that she's really getting tipsy. I suspect because her constitution is quite high. I think she can at least drink 1 or 2 glasses without.
She has
really
a constitution
being drunk.
of 21.
Okay, I have
And with the
like
heat and
four
everything.
times of that, so
You're fine.
yeah. And she's also, since we're watering down, it's watered down literally, watering down with water. We're watering it down, so I think 2 glasses, just she would be very relaxed and just.
So there is some dancing, but unfortunately Siobhan is so drunk that she decides not to take part, because that would be terrible. At least she doesn't need dissuading. It's not like she's one of those drunk people who think she can conquer the world. On your way home. So basically then there is a big goodbye.
Yeah, I would say goodbye and thank you to everyone. So
and they're both and everybody is basically, you can tell that they're happy to have met Jacintha's daughter. And everyone remembers your mother. Everybody who's there remembers your mother, and they remember her really fondly.
Yeah.
But they kind of also, and they say it in so many words, they see that, she didn't completely leave this earth because she left you.
Yeah.
And that's really important for them. And then, she is not doing so well with regard to how she's walking. Do you help her?
Yeah, I would just put my arm around her waist and probably more carry her than she is really walking.
So you put her into bed. She just basically plonks, she face plants onto the bed. And very soon after, she just starts snoring.
I will make sure she's covered up a little bit. I will have a last peek for the horses, although I'm quite sure horses are already asleep, because I guess it would have gotten late.
Yeah, it would have gotten late. Yeah.
And then Aisling would plonk herself in bed as well, just to get a little bit of sleep, but she would try, well, it's the question that you don't have like an alarm clock, but her goal is to get up.
You have Wachgabe, which means you can decide when you want to wake up.
Then she would like to wake up when the sun is rising, because she wants to clean up a little bit to prepare that we can leave everything in as best situation as we can. And also make breakfast, because we should have a hearty breakfast before we leave.
Yeah.
So that would be her goal.
Yeah. So you wake up pretty much at the time that you decided, and she's not doing well.
I would let her sleep for a while if possible. So I would first look after the horses, just to make sure they have also a hearty meal, basically. And so a little bit extra snacks, and we will leave in a little bit. I just need to get breakfast into Siobhan.
Storm is really kind of like, let's go.
Yeah,
and Percy is like, snacks.
I could imagine that. And Percy's getting a little extra snack because she will have to carry around a really not well feeling Siobhan, probably.
Yeah.
And then Aisling would return. She would make breakfast, but not make too much noise. And while things are slowly getting ready, she would clean up a little. I'm quite sure, honestly, it is probably quite clean already, but just to put everything together, also starting to pack the bags with food and everything we need. And then when breakfast slowly is ready, if Siobhan hasn't woken up by then, she would carefully wake up Siobhan.
You wake up Siobhan, she's like, ow, my head. Is this normal?
Yes.
Great.
Let's get some breakfast into you.
She eats.
And coffee isn't a thing there, I suspect, because coffee
didn't exist. No.
Didn't exist. So strong tea. And usually at least fatty food is helping usually as well. So just
and
making
getting
sure.
fatty food in Greece isn't a problem at all.
So she's getting a full English breakfast. No, not really, but a full breakfast with eggs and bacon or
Everything.
something like that. And yeah.
And then basically you get on your horses and you leave the
Yep.
township of Monofrastos behind. Traversing Monofrastos to reach the Taygetos mountains and then traversing those will take a couple of days.
Yep.
But again, you are still within Monofrastos, so you feel very safe. You can roll on Wahrnehmung, if you like.
A miss.
Yeah, Siobhan misses as well. So essentially, you don't see anyone, but
Yeah.
from knowing what you know, there are
It might be
probably
that
people
someone-
tailing you and that kind of thing. And after a while, you reach the Taygetos mountains. You climb, then you go through that huge ravine that basically and. Like, again, the road is perfect because an army has to march here, so it's not a problem. And then you leave your mother's homeland behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then after about 3 days, you come to a bridge across one of the rivers that lead to the sea. And as you cross that river, on that bridge, you can now make a what would be good? Yes.
The bridge is crossing a river, you said, right?
Yeah, normal bridge. You have been there before because obviously this is the same way, and it's not even a wide or terribly, let's say, dangerous kind of like river, not fast flowing. It's just a normal river. So let's see how you two do.
With what?
I've rolled resistance spirit, and you both fail. You suddenly have a feeling of vertigo, like something is spinning. And poor Siobhan, who's also feeling it, basically clutches
Percy.
Percy's reins.
I think Aisling would probably have the same reaction to hold on to, like, the saddle-ish. She would have a saddle, proper saddle, and the reins, and would probably stop. I'm not sure if she would stop him. She would just hold on to, like, okay, I'm focusing. This is there, and it's not moving.
So basically, Siobhan is quite badly affected. She actually she throws up because it's like she's really in this vertigo state, and she's holding on to this horse.
Aisling would just. She would give it would be like a war cry, but it's more like Storm would know this, like, we need to move. And she would yell at Percy as well to follow. And I'm quite sure Percy is clever enough to follow Storm.
You do that.
So
and
heels into the horse and try to get away from what this is.
You spur your horses on, and suddenly
I would try to have a look still of Siobhan is still keeping on the horse, or if she's dropping
no,
off.
she's Percy is, as we have established, a very sensitive horse.
Yeah.
So he has noticed that she's not doing well. So he's kind of like giving it extra care that she doesn't fall, while at the same time keeping pace. And suddenly you see a huge, it's like a lightning bolt. It is a flash of very, very dark blue light that appears, and it engulfs you. And let's see how you do, how this affects you, if at all. You both critted on a natural 20 on your resistance spirit. Wow, you both rolled 32. And the she's still feeling a little bit sick, but you notice instantaneously that something has happened, because what you used to see on the other side of the bridge, which was just a path in the kind of dry Greek landscape with a low kind of like low growing like lavender and some very stunted cedar trees is completely different. What you see before you is more like a moor, which you remember from Alba as well. So basically it's like this bridge is just continuing into this moor, so you've got kind of like those little pools, and there's a path, and it's not even that small, and in the middle distance you see green meadows, and it looks a lot more like your home. Like there are green trees like oaks and beeches. So it's not like a forest at all, but it's more like here is a copse of trees, there is a little grove. So it's more like this bucolic landscape, little bit rolling hills. But you also notice that the sky is different. It's not Albi sky because it's not this constant gray more or less, but it's like really blue. Look, think of France. Rural France. And this is what you see before you. What do you do?
I would stop Storm and grab Percy's reins probably as well to stop him. She would look backwards if the way back is the same view or if there's like a gap between worlds.
When you look back, you see that this bridge is actually a bridge that leads across a little bit of a swampy area. And beyond it, there is again a road, and it's the same landscape that you're looking at when you look into at the front. There is nothing of Chrysaea here. Something has happened. You're not where you used to be.
Aisling would get off Storm. Because I'm quite sure, honestly, the horses are clever and sensible enough that something happened that should not happen. So I'm quite sure Storm is definitely not relaxed. He is ears up, and Percy is probably also twitching a little bit. So getting off the horse, just trying to calm them, and looking at Siobhan like, what the hell happened and where are we?
Well, I remember feeling really sick and vomiting, and I have no idea where we are. But this is not where we left.
No, I felt a bit motion sick. You probably a bit more. And then it was like a flash of light.
Blue light.
This is nowhere we have ever been. Even though it looks a little bit like home. Not really.
I don't think so either. What just happened?
I have no idea.
How?
I also have no idea.
Did someone cast a spell?
I haven't seen anyone.
What do we do now?
Maybe walk a little. Trying to calm nerves of everyone. Trying to figure out where we are.
Then let's go.
Maybe also walking might help you with the last rest of motion sickness, because I'm quite sure Aisling still feels also a little bit but if you have feet on the ground and you're moving, and I hope the earth is not moving.
No.
So that should maybe help a little bit. So we would carefully walk over the bridge and onwards on the path. Aisling would try to scan the surroundings on plants as well as animals, just to have an idea on what this could be.
So since you're really paying attention, and this is kind of like a little bit swampy, you notice one thing that you don't see as often, but you do know what it is. you see dragonflies, normal-sized dragonflies that are basically hovering, and you hear birds that you would know, like, you know, your normal woodland kind of birds. And there is normal grass. And, you know, one of the other kind of like, you know, what we would call Feldblumen, field flowers, like, you know, the stuff that you would see normally growing.
So, like a daisy or
daisies,
things like that, yeah.
And so on.
So it looks kind of similar as what we know from home.
It looks a lot more like home than it does like Chrysaea, yes. And as you move towards more of the trees, you can tell that some of them are oak. You can tell by the normal leaves that they have. You also see some birches, white bark. And you would know the trees anyway, so there are some beeches as well. It's your normal Central European woodland kind of thing, but not a dense forest. And the road that you're walking on is definitely a road that is fairly traveled, so it's really tightly packed dirt. It's a tightly packed dirt road, and it's wide enough to have a cart driven through it, on it.
This feels a lot like home, but also does not. I've never seen such a sky without any clouds.
No. That sky is definitely not in Alba. It's a little bit like the one in Chrysaea, only the weather is a lot less hot.
Yeah, and everything else reminds me more from home. I can even hear birds that we usually hear. And look at the flowers, they're also like home. The trees as well.
So let's keep walking.
Yeah.
You keep walking.
And keeping eyes and ears open. Aisling would also see if she can at least in between, like, listen if something or someone is coming from behind along the road. Just to make sure that A, we are not in the way, and B, maybe to step aside and see who the hell is
You hear nothing.
living here. Okay. Then we will walk on carefully and more inspecting on what we see and hear.
It is actually very unspectacular.
I think for us in the moment it must even be a little bit chilly. Because we had quite now the bounce from hot dry to this. Although it sounds like a lovely day in Alba, but it's cold suddenly. So I'm quite sure Aisling would have definitely got something on her, and Siobhan probably as well.
Yeah. And so you keep walking. And you notice that the sun is basically moving, like, you know, it's beginning to start to meet the horizon, so it's setting.
Well, when we see it's going down, we would still look for a place where we can make camp. Not on the road, but a little bit off the road, maybe between some trees. So we can have a fire and try to be not seen too easily. That would be a goal.
Then
Survival?
let's see what we could roll on there. What did we always roll? Survival.
Yeah, survival, I think. For a good place. Yup, that's a success with the 24.
Okay, so between the two of you, you're able to find a really good place. You're also able to find some source of water. And you find enough wood to basically get a little fire going. And do you set up watches?
Yes.
Okay.
Aisling for sure does not trust any of this.
So basically, Siobhan gets enough water because she really feels she needs to wash. Do you also want to wash?
Little bit, but not much.
Okay, so basically, do you want to sleep first or?
No, I would do...
Second watch.
Yeah, then I would sleep first.
Sorry, did you just say you didn't want to sleep first? Because you can also...
I'm unsure. Usually Siobhan is not waking up when she sleeps. Then I would do first watch and she can do second.
Okay, so you watch and you can now... Oh, you don't have that ability, do you? Okay. You can now basically do a Wahrnehmungscheck for me.
Okay. What do I not have? What I should have?
No, you can't have it because you've got something else.
Okay.
She has that skill.
I have not succeeded. I only rolled a 17 in the end as a result. That's not enough.
What you do notice is you notice a little bit. You notice an owl sitting on the tree under which, or landing on the tree under which you've made camp, and it's basically sitting there doing this shoo shoo thing. And then you wake up Siobhan.
Yep.
Anything happen?
Nope. Nothing. Quiet. Wake me up if anything happens, and she will curl up.
You curl up. You sleep.
Yep.
You dream.
No.
In your dream, you see you're sitting by the fire. When you're watching, and Siobhan is lying next to you where she belongs, and an old woman steps into the firelight and she says to you in Albi, "Is there space for one more at your fire? It's cold and it's dark."
Aisling would scan the old lady just to have an idea of if she's really just an old lady or if there's a hidden. Also, the idea, does that lady look like a hag, for example?
The hags you saw were young women who were really stunningly beautiful.
Then Aisling would make space at the fire for the lady, but basically across from, so as farthest away from Siobhan as possible, and Aisling would sit between. Well, feel free to sit down. Do you want some tea? We still have a little bit left.
Oh yes, tea would be welcome, my child.
Aisling would give her a cup of tea.
So, we finally see each other. Or you see me for the first time. I've seen you so many times before.
I have no idea who you are. We definitely have not met before.
Oh. Well, I heard you complain so much that we do not take an interest. That we don't do what you want us to do.
Aisling would say nothing. She would just give now a very stern look.
So, you saw a future. You saw your fate. You didn't like what you saw.
For me, it's an option that is not valid, so we would just forget about it. This will not happen.
No, it will not happen now.
So who are you again?
I never told you my name.
No, and I would really like to know if you're standing on the good or the bad side, because I've met too many of the bad side. Looking very charming and nice.
Well, lots of people have called me many things, but charming and nice looking isn't really what I hear.
Well,
I'm old.
Who would suspect an old lady to be danger? That would just be a new option.
She looks past you towards Siobhan and she says, "She's one of mine. Ask her if I am dangerous."
Well, she would always say you're not, because you're looking after her.
I'm looking after her and I'm looking after you, and yes, you are right. You have suffered too much already.
I don't need to being looked after because it happens as it happens. My family brought me here and I'm just suffering ongoing on what they did to each other.
You're only half right. Your family didn't bring you here, and she looks round. I did.
And where is here then?
Remember when you spoke to the gnome? And he told you about where you came from, your people came from. Across the oceans on ships.
Yes.
And then suddenly they saw this blue light. And then the next thing they knew was that they arrived in Alba, or what is now Alba.
Have you sent us here with the light?
You called it a curse. And maybe one could consider it a curse. But
Well,
where
it's
you
not a
were,
blessing.
it couldn't be broken. Because he rules the land. He is older than we are.
That's not good to hear. So you say here we have a chance to break it.
Here it doesn't exist. You have a fate which I cannot divine,
Which
which
means
no one can divine. This is a new life. Use it well.
if we want to return home, we would be back to where we started. If there's even a way to get home.
I did what I could. I felt for her.
Well, I thank you very much. I'm not sure if she will miss home and our people. To be there for the village.
There is people here as well. And people who are a lot like you. You come from them. You only half, but she.
Just in case we want to go back, is there any chance to do that?
There is always a chance to change the world if you just have faith.
Well, that's her job.
Well then.
Thank you. Also for watching out for her.
I watch over everybody, even though you don't want to see it. You say she's watching over you. You say that she has power. Instead of knowing that it is me.
I think a lot comes from her.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I cannot undo what has been done. I cannot bring back your mother.
Well, she is hopefully, I don't know. I hope she's in a better place. I'm not sure. I hope she's not with him.
Oh no.
Then all's well. I don't care about my father, but I hope she has a good place because she never did anything wrong or out of ill intentions.
No, she didn't. But now it's time for me to leave. I have still many miles to walk.
Safe travels.
You too. And she gets up, and it's a really old woman who's walking slowly out of the circle of light and slowly vanishing in the darkness.
I think Aisling would just stare at Siobhan sleeping and at the fire, like in between, back and forth. and would just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Either to wake up or for the night to end, depending on how it goes out.
At some point, you do actually wake up because it is your normal time that you wake up round about 7 o'clock. And Siobhan is already making breakfast, so if she did fall asleep, she woke before you, which is not usually the case because she's somebody who likes to sleep in. She's a lot less disciplined when it comes to this than you are. And she says, "Did you sleep well?" Because I slept really well. Oh, what happened?
I think
I saw nothing, and I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything.
You did not. I dreamt, I think.
You dreamt?
It felt quite weird.
What about?
Crazy question, maybe. Is it still there? She would just pull down her shirt.
Siobhan, basically, you can hear that she takes a breath because she wants to say yes, and then she says, and then you just feel that she places her forefinger between your shoulder blades and she traces the area where, no, it's gone. Everything's gone. What happened? Where are we?
Where our ancestors came from.
What? You mean we've gone back in time?
No, but in land, as it seems. You remember? We heard the story about our ancestors
Yeah, Beon.
traveling, flash of light, bluish, and then they entered Alba. We went the vice versa way.
And you just learned this in a dream? Wow, you're a prophetess.
No, your goddess is quite nice, I have to say.
Like
Kind of old, but nice.
Vana.
Yes.
She looks like Vana visited you in a dream?
Yes, she told me that, as you said, she's looking over everyone. And that the curse cannot be undone where we came from. Not in Alba or anywhere else in that part, because he reigns there. He's older than the gods. They can't stop him. Which is a very scary thought, I have to say. But here, he has no reign. Here, it's basically gone. If we want to go back, it's just back. But here, we would be free from him.
So it means that you don't have to be afraid anymore.
But it's not home.
But it means that you will live, and so will I.
Yeah, because she said my fate back there, it's set. It's not to be changed.
Well, your fate is to live, but to kill him.
Yeah, and to get you killed as well, which would lead to me not living anymore either, so tentatively end for both of us.
So this is your second chance.
It sounds
Our
like it.
second chance. But if this is not where we are from, why can I still feel her? If your fate has changed so drastically, why is she still with me?
Well, maybe she came with our ancestors. Maybe she has the chance to return.
And that's why he is older.
She came with our ancestors.
She came with them.
Maybe, because as far as I remember from stories, she's always been there, hasn't
Because
she?
those are the stories that we tell. She's always been there. But what if there means with them rather than in the land. So this is where we came from.
At least this explains why they quickly settled in Alba without problems, because it's very similar.
It is.
I have no idea how the people here are.
Well, at least I speak their language, because if it's them, they speak Altoquin.
We will see. You don't know how it developed here, because it has been a little bit passed by.
Thousands and thousands of years, but...
outside of we heard, because I honestly don't remember, and it will take ages to skip through my notes. Did we have like a name for the land from our ancestors where they came from? There was
no, you just got the name of the most important leader,
Mm-hmm.
Beon, who then built all of those black towers overlooking the sea, because he kept riding up and down the coast and standing on each of these towers for days on end, hoping that the light would reappear, and it never did. And he died of a broken heart when he was like 100 years old. So he lived very long in this state of yearning for home. I think I need to pray now, because she has just given me what I've always wanted.
Well, she definitely listened to you.
Maybe she listened to you.
I have to admit, she's the only one that helped a lot. I also asked her in case we still want to return home because we're homesick. She said if we really want it, there will be a way. Just that it is there as an option, because the village and the people, our house.
Yeah, and what if going back means exactly that your fate will come to pass? I will not enter into a fate that will mean that you kill yourself. You can forget about that. That's not going to happen. It's
just an option. You never know what comes. Maybe when we're both grey and old, we want to see our home a last time. It's good to know that there might be an option to get back.
Let's see. For the time being, I'm glad we're here, because it means less fear. I will just
take all the time you need. We have
go a little bit away and pray. And she leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And she stays away for over an hour. What do you do in the meantime while she's gone?
The question is she leaving in a way that I cannot see her anymore? Or would she just be far enough away that I can't really hear her or bug her? Because I think Aisling would ask her not to go...
She's a good ways away, but you can still see her, but you definitely cannot hear her.
No, I think Aisling would have asked her just to stay. We still have no idea how life is here, so if she just disappears in the woods... Okay. No,
if you ask her not to, she won't.
Yeah, if I still at least can see she's there, then I will give her all the time she wants. I think Aisling would eat a little, would maybe clean up now a little bit more, and also give Percy and Storm a little bit of scritches, and probably tell them the story of where they are now, and that we are in the lands of our ancestors. And I should not write English today. He reigns, and I wrote rain with A-I-N and not rain.
Okay,
like
I get
king.
You. So,
he reigns.
Um. How does it make you feel that you know that the sigil is gone?
I think for Aisling, she's relaxing. Even though we're in a land she has no clue of at all, but she is relaxing. Because I think all the time she was always a little bit on edge, because he can show up whenever he likes, in whatever form he likes. His son as well, so she was always a little bit on her toes about that. And now she relaxes, because she really enough believes the old lady.
Okay.
The first god that did not annoy Aisling.
Well, we should totally mark this in our calendars. You have actually received a 1d4 to your willpower, and I rolled a 4. So your willpower is now 48.
God, where is my will?
I've already put it in its VK on your Datenblatt.
Also hast du schon,
Yeah.
you already changed it.
Yeah, I've already
Cool.
changed it. After a while, Siobhan comes back and she says, I must ask, what does she look like?
Well, like a very nice old lady. Not very quick on foot. Like the stereotype grandmother in a village. But a very friendly one, not a grumpy, angry one, which we know also quite a few of. And Aisling would give her a description of what she saw.
She basically folds her arms in front of her chest and she says, this is the first time I've ever heard you speak in a positive manner about one of the gods.
Well, she was helpful.
They're all
She was-
helpful. It's just a matter of asking them for help and
she was
listening.
not cryptic. She was just open on point.
Well, maybe she was just like, if I am the normal way that I normally am, this Aisling is never gonna understand what I want from her.
Well, then thanks to her that she went to my kind of standards, so it was a very short but pleasant talk.
So you believe that she exists now?
I weirdly enough do. I'm not sure she's really an old lady or she just did that, so I'm nicer. Respect the elders. But, well, she spoke truth. It's gone. I think in a long time, this is the first time I feel like I can breathe again freely without worrying all the time.
I have thanked her profusely because now I can worry less.
I think we have to thank you, because I'm quite sure she came because you worried so much.
We will never know why she came, but it's the most important thing that she did.
Maybe she also had a bet running with another god, and she said, I will make Aisling believe and be nice to us, and she made that true as well. So maybe she won a prize, we don't know.
That's the Aisling that I know, always being cynical about everything.
Well, the thing is, even with what happened back there, the gods are there. I know that. I just highly doubt they care. I still think a lot of gods don't care, to be honest. And I like the idea that they are different, they don't understand us well. That's an interesting way of seeing things, and I think that explains a lot. But,
You made her understand you, obviously, because she knew what was bothering you and she knew how to help.
I'm thankful that she took time, probably a lot of energy, to bring us here.
So should we continue? Maybe we will meet someone.
Well, we need to meet someone. I don't wanna... Well, it's fun to be around just with you, don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to learn a bit more about the lands, and it will be difficult if we don't meet people.
So you strike camp.
Yep.
You get up on your horses and you start riding. After about, I want to say, 3 hours, the path that you are on has kind of like comes to a T-junction. And basically there is another path that comes from the side, whichever direction this is, because you have no idea. If this was, you're basically, if we take the normal directions that we have in Alba, where the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, then you're actually heading south.
Okay.
So then, since it's coming from your left, it would be a path from the east. And that's kind of like more of a dirt road. It's not as wide and it's not as tightly packed. So maybe this is, who knows. Do you want to take a left or do you want to keep going on the what looks like a more mainy road?
I think we would stay on the mainy road because we are not... We have no time pressure. We have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So going the main road, because this might lead closer to a bigger settlement, like. No idea what kind of settlements they have. Hopefully similar as like we have. We will see.
Okay. You keep going.
Yep.
And lo and behold, after about an hour, you can see a person walking in the distance, but walking away from you at a leisurely pace.
So basically in the same direction as we are, and just in front of us.
And if you keep the pace that you have, you will catch up with them.
Yeah, we would keep the pace because we're on the horses now. I think as well. We would not walk. I think we would ride now. Not in a hastily manner. So he... no, you said a man, right?
A person.
A person. They would hear us when we get closer because horses make noises, and we would not try to be stealthy, so we would just slowly ride closer to him.
And true enough, the person stops and lets you catch up, and you can tell that it's actually a woman.
Okay.
With quite long hair, dark hair, and she looks a lot like you guys. Basically light skin, definitely not Chisean, grey eyes, and she is wearing a skirt, like in a colourful skirt, but not in any way like a tartan at all.
Okay.
And she turns around, she basically waits for you to catch up because she has heard you, and she waves her hand and she says something which you don't understand.
No, Aisling would wave and smile, but she would look at Siobhan like, what the hell? And just see if Siobhan has any idea what she said.
Siobhan sucks in her breath, and you can see that she is really thinking hard. And then she...
the moment again where Aisling should have paid attention at school, she did not.
And then she starts speaking in a language that you know, because that's the language that she used to speak when she was training to become an acolyte, you know, when she had to take her vows. She's speaking Algonquin. It's also the language of the church, so you would have heard it every God's Day.
Yeah,
and yes, you made a point of not learning it, even the basics.
Yeah, even maybe 1 or 2 words, but that's probably it.
Yeah. And she gets a practice point because she rolled a 21. Yay.
Nice.
And she basically speaks to this woman, and this woman listens. And then you notice that the woman is speaking quite slowly now. And then Siobhan points to you and says Aisling, and then she points to herself and says Siobhan. And then the lady basically says a couple of words and says Tilda. And then Siobhan turns to you and she says, this is Tilda, the miller's daughter. She's from down that road that we passed by. There's a small village called Phibsborough, but she's visiting her cousin in Brook, which is round about 3 more hours in that direction, near the Gasping Swamp, which is a big water swamp area to the south.
Do you have the chance to ask her if there's anywhere a place where we can stay, like an inn or something like that?
Yes, she asks. Yes, in Brook there's an inn, yes.
Should we offer to just travel with her if she wants? I'm not sure how dangerous the roads are. We could walk.
Yeah, sure. She nods and she says yes, and then she says, you're informed that the roads are not really dangerous, so it is kind of like it's very pastoral here. And she tells you that her cousin's called Callister Skinner, and that she basically, so as you walk around, as you walk down the road, basically Siobhan gets off and she starts leading Percy, because otherwise it's a bit problematic.
We would do
to
the
keep
same,
keep a conversation going.
Yep.
And she informs you that Callister Skinner is her cousin, and she married Tom about 5 years ago. Tom is a widower with a son, and he's quite a rich farmer. He has a farm kind of like a little bit on the outskirts of the village, namely on very high ground in the swamp. So it's about 1.5 hours or 1 hour on foot into the swamp. But because it's in the swamp and higher up, it's actually super fertile.
Yeah.
But nobody really wanted to live there for a very long time, because it is kind of out of the way and it's a swamp. But his father said, I can get this land cheaply, and he bought it and he set up a farm there really successfully, but it's a little bit out of the way. And Tom and his wife Edel tried for a child, and it took them a very long time, but then they finally had a son, Carl. But unfortunately his mother died in childbirth, and so Tom brought up the child on his own, and then decided to marry again. But now, about a year ago, he also died. And so now Callista is alone with her stepson, and so she has decided to just pay her a visit and stay a couple of weeks with her to help with the harvest, because the harvest is coming up, so she's gonna help her cousin with the harvest.
Aisling would just look at Siobhan and would probably whisper like, should we offer help? I can help with harvest. They might need a muscle.
She translates, and then Tilda is very happy about the suggestion. She says, that would be so great. You see, Callista is of course from Phibsborough as well, so she's kind of, you see, the people in Brook are kind of, like, they don't really warm to outsiders quickly. She's only lived there for 5 years, so she's still kind of an outsider. And so getting help from them is sometimes a bit difficult.
Well,
so if you could help.
Aisling would probably, like, poor Siobhan translating back and forth, but Aisling would be like, if we can just have like a place where we can stay and a little bit of hay to feed the birds, right, Victoria? The horses.
And she says, of course, the farm is not very small, actually. There would be enough space for you and the horses. And so you soon, can see in the distance, you can see settlements, you can see houses, the beginning of a village. And you go in, and she says, well, do you still want to stay at the inn, or should we just go to my cousin's?
We can go to your cousin's. I think also in between, Aisling would have been curious enough to ask Siobhan if she can very carefully ask the stupid question how the land here is called.
Yeah, and she informs you that this is... And now we have to come up with a really nice name, because this is bare bones, I said.
Okay.
So it doesn't have a name. It's called whatever you want it to be called.
Then we will think about it. We can have a talk next week, and then we will give it a name.
Yeah. And but she informs you that there are they have something called a burgomeister. So basically, each of the bigger villages elects a leader, who is then also responsible for upholding the law. And then they basically they also look after collecting tax and distributing it. So she says that, and you learn that they have copper pieces and silver for payment. Maybe they also have gold, but maybe she's never seen gold. And she says that, well, what you learn is it's a rural society. So she is the miller's daughter, so lots of farmers from around Phibsborough come with their grain, and he grinds it for them, and then they get the flour back. And some of them also sell flour to him, which he then sells to the local baker where he's from. And it is a society that is a lot like you, except it's not feudal. So it's not like you have a high king and then the lairds and then the sires. So it's more... It's more a lot smaller in size. So it's more like, I come from this village and then there are maybe 3 more villages around it. That's my home, rather than I belong to a clan. They don't have that concept at all.
Which Aisling finds quite calming, I think, that it's not exactly like home in this case. And
you learn that she is being apprenticed to her father to take over the mill someday. But that family is very important. So basically the fact that her cousin is on her own now means that her father is more than happy for her to join her to help with the harvest. But also she says that in exchange she's going to get grain as payment.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And basically you arrive at the town. Well, she calls it a village, but it's actually a town. It's a lot larger than your home would have been. It's the size of the hall.
Okay.
So, fairly sizable, 200 people maybe.
Yep.
And you can also now see that there is vast amounts of arable land. So it's very different from Alba in that you notice it's a lot less wet.
Yeah.
Except you can see in the distance there is a swamp. Of course, that is different, but where you are, it's very dry. It's also not as stony as in the Highlands. And you see lots of grain coming up to fruition, as it were, and being ready for the harvesting. And you follow her, and she says, "Okay, so now this is going to take about 1.5 hours to get through the swamp. It's safe. The road is safe, but it's kind of like a little bit tedious because, they've got all those midges. So the horses might find it a bit annoying."
They're fine, I think, but we can. Well, we since we're not sitting on them, anything should be easier for them because they don't have to carry weight really. So.
And so you soon are surrounded by those little midges, and they basically start stinging the horses, and they move their ears really quickly, they move their tails, and they are genuinely annoyed, but that's how it is. Horses simply don't like being stung, which I totally get.
I think Aisling will whisper to Percy in between, "They have apples here, I'm sure of it, and carrots, it's like home."
You see immediately he's perking up because, hey, snacks.
We just need to get there. And she will also like in between.
Storm is a lot more stoic in that
he's annoyed.
He's a warhorse.
Yeah,
so
but
he is annoyed, but he will not let on. He's got discipline.
Yeah. But Aisling, I think, sees as well that he's annoyed and will also be like, soon we will get you in the
he gives you a dirty look, saying, "Okay, you owe me for this one.
Yeah,
and it's not gonna be just apples and carrots."
we will find a way.
And the swamp itself is like a swamp, so there are plenty of ribbit. There are plenty of crocs, of frogs croaking, and you also see them hop around. It's the lovely, the small green variety. It's not the big ones that you kind of go ugh. And you also see a couple of stork-likes in the swamp, basically standing on one leg and then suddenly pushing down and gobbling up a fish. And again, when you were going south and you went through the Lake District, this is something that you would have seen there as well. So it's again familiar.
It reminds, or it feels familiar,
Yeah.
I think Aisling in between would also tell Siobhan, it oddly still reminds me of home, even though it's different.
Yeah, but you're probably right. That's why they settled so easily.
Yeah.
And so basically, Siobhan also makes a point of pointing out things like the frog and asking for the words. And then, after a while, you notice that the path is steadily climbing. And she did say that it was kind of like elevated. And you come to the first thing you see is a wheat field, which is ready to be harvested. And you keep going, and then you see the house. And Tilda shouts, "Callista, we're here." And she shouts, and there is no reply. That's odd. She knows that I'm coming, but maybe she just, maybe she's just collecting firewood or something. Let's go.
We will follow.
Okay, so the stable is round there. Maybe do you want to stable the horses and look after them first before we go inside?
That would be lovely.
So she walks with you around the house, and there's the stable there, and you put the horses up, and she says, "The well is over there. We could just go there. I can show you where it is, and we can get some water for them."
That would be perfect. Siobhan clearly translating in between.
Yeah, and basically she shows you where the well is. You draw water. She helps, and she keeps calling, and then she says, "Okay, so what I'm going to do is, are you okay with the horses doing this on your own? Because I'll now go inside, because it's really weird that she's nowhere to be seen."
Yes. Aisling would nod and would she should just yell if she needs help.
Food for the horses. Would they eat wheat?
Yes.
Well,
they
then
eat almost anything.
Just get some of the wheat. That's fine. And she basically leaves. And do you go to the field and just get some wheat?
Yeah, just I think we also have a little bit left for the road, probably as well, like a little bit of snack. So we would add, at least Aisling would add a bit, because she promised Percy something would be there.
He smiles at you, and as you do this, you suddenly hear running footsteps. And Tilda shows up. She says, "Something's happened. I think somebody's broken into the house, and she's gone, and Carl isn't here either."
Aisling would just clap Storm and would just motion and would probably just start walking towards the house.
You go to the house, and the house has been turned upside down. This isn't somebody just not maybe being house proud and not putting everything back into its place. Somebody has been through this house and has been looking for stuff. And And the house itself is quite large. So you come in, there is like possibly the main room where you have like a table and 2 benches in the corner around the table so that you can sit there and eat. There's also the fireplace, and also an easy chair, kind of like a rocking chair, which has been turned over in front of the fireplace. Then there is a door, and she says through there is the kitchen on the right, and then 3 bedrooms. And then she keeps calling Callista, Carl, but nobody's replying.
Aisling would go through every room and she would keep her eyes open if she can see blood. That would be her first, because she will never be able to see if something is missing, but she wants to see if someone got hurt.
Wahrnehmung, please.
That would be her main goal. Wahrnehmung, where is it? There it is. Somewhere there. Yeah, that is a success at 25.
You don't see blood.
Okay.
But you find something, and that's not even really well hidden.
Okay.
You find a little strong box.
Yeah.
And when you open it, it's full of money. Copper coins. So it's not really a lot of money, but it is full of money, and this is some value.
Yeah. She would go with the box towards Siobhan and making sure that Tilda sees it as well. And she would just say, okay, they were not here to steal.
That's odd. Why go to all this trouble and then not take one of the probably most valuable things in this house? Because you can see the furniture is sturdy, but it's also not new. It's old.
Yeah.
It's probably been here since his father's time, or grandfather in Carl's case. It's well kept, but it's nothing of value. I mean, you could make this yourself. You could buy this very cheaply, or most people would probably make this themselves. So this is probably one of the very few things in here that has actual value. That's odd.
Well, the good thing is I did not find any blood, so no one got hurt. At least not in that way. They left here at least alive. Quite surely.
Yeah, but what happened here?
I don't know, but I will walk around the house and see if I find trails. Because someone has gone in here and left again.
Okay, so please do another Wahrnehmungscheck for me.
Yeah, so I'll go outside and I would leave it to Siobhan to explain whatever she wants to explain. And that is 23 success.
Perfect. You actually do see something.
Okay.
Outside one of the room's windows, you see claw marks. And claw marks of different sizes. So it's like it must be different animals that have clawed, because they look different. The paws look different. The claw sizes are different. The spacing between the fingers, or whatever you want to call it, is different. And they have clawed their way up the wall somehow and broken, and basically the window blinds also have those claw marks, and the window blinds are open. And as you look through the window, you see that you're looking probably at the boy's bedroom, because you can see a hobby horse lying on the ground. And you can actually see through the door, because Tilda and Siobhan are standing in the hallway, in the corridor, and the door is open to the corridor. So you can actually see them kind of standing there.
I would call out for both of them.
Yes, what is it?
I hope they're coming outside and not inside to the window.
No, they're actually walking into the room and looking through.
Yeah, and then she would point, you need to watch from the outside.
All right. The two of them vanish from sight, and then sure enough, like 2 minutes or so later, they come around.
Yeah. Well, Aisling would show the marks, and she would basically give Siobhan the question, do they have like wild animal or things, creatures that kidnap kids.
She translates, and Tilda is like,
It's different sizes of claw marks.
Tilda enumerates, and she uses one word, urs. And Siobhan is kind of like, I know this word, bear.
I think that's one of the only words that Aisling would know, probably as well.
Yeah.
That would be like the one word, like, oh, that's some kind of stuck because she likes bears. I don't think so, with the different sizes.
And then she enumerates another type of animal, lupus, which is translated by Siobhan as, or you probably know this one as well. You probably know the names of, because you would have looked at the nature-based books.
And animals she would be interested in.
And
I
there
think
would
that
have
would be
been
the only
pictures,
things,
and there would have been the, like, you know, the information.
So with lupus, Aisling would
Yeah.
check any like stories. You know, the weird stories that if you don't do that, this and this will come and grab you or things.
Oh
there
yes, there was.
like,
There was a story about a little girl, and she always visited her grandmother. But one day, the grandmother had been transformed into a wolf, and the wolf ate her. Do you think he was eaten by a wolf?
the wolves we know would never do that.
And the bears you know either.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
And together, since you said claw marks in different, so they would have worked together, which is also quite... but I would look at the earth now and just see if I can see any kind of paw prints or anything like that away from the window.
It's interesting because...
Or footprints.
No, it's a bit weird. Can you make an intelligence roll for me, please?
That's not our strong suit. I think intelligence is EN, richtig?
Yeah.
No.
What did you roll?
94.
Okay. Yeah, you see prints, but they're kind of weird.
Muddled up. Weird, okay.
Yeah, you can't really put your finger on it. It looks like lots of maybe... They're kind of like stacked on top of each other, so it's really difficult to make out. So you can't really see paws. You just see that somebody has been standing there possibly for a while and then walked around and, you know.
Can I, with Wahrnehmung, at least try to see if they came or went into a direction?
Roll Wahrnehmung.
$24.
Yes, you can see that they have walked into a swamp.
Aisling would tell or share with the others. And she still has her sword and anything with her anyhow, so she would just start walking into that direction. Although she knows swamps, you need to be careful, but she would follow the trail a little bit.
You follow the trail, and the trail actually does end at the edge of the swamp, because you're really on this elevation. And then there's only one way you can go, and that's back into the village. You are more or less like on an island kind of thing. So you can go into the swamp, but this means actually going onto the swamp area. Do you want to do this? Because there also the trail ends, because it's now a swamp. So it's kind of wet.
What time of day do we have?
Now it's afternoon. It's around about, you would say, 4 o'clock possibly.
I think Aisling at least would have experience with swampy ground, because we have something like that similar in Alba as well. I think Aisling would try to move a little bit into the swamp, so she would look for a big stick that she can poke the ground in front of her, just to see where she can find the places where you can put your foot on without
Interestingly enough, where you are, there is no ground. It's actually it's that part of the swamp that is actually quite wet and almost like a little lake. And the only thing you see are those little grassy sod kind of things that are basically sticking out, but as you put your stick in, it goes right in. So you hear this splashing sound. This is almost complete water.
Okay. I think Aisling would turn around and would have Siobhan ask Tilda if they have a way how they move around in the swamp.
Tilda thinks for a moment. She says, well, some people use boats, but I don't think that my cousin's ever gone out in the swamp. I mean, there are fishermen who go, but you know, they fish for crabs, but they're in the village. I mean, my cousin has never mentioned going out there by boat.
If they have a boat here, maybe also from a husband, you never know.
Well, I've never seen one, but we can certainly look.
Let's have a look. If not, Aisling would need to build something, which she would attempt. If not, it would be more a raft than a boat, probably, but something that floats.
But I mean, that's all very well, but where's my cousin?
Somewhere there, I suspect.
So you think
I'm not
Carl
sure
Carl was abducted, and my cousin as well?
I think
by animals? I mean, I could see how a bear or a wolf could take a 7-year-old boy, but my cousin wasn't exactly a small woman.
I don't know. We can search the house once more. We need to anyhow if they have a boat, but it might be worth. I don't know if the village will be wanting to help, but I think we need to have a search party out here.
Okay, so you basically, do you split up, or do you basically search together?
I think the house we would split up.
Okay, so then make a...
Going through also back in the stables around the house, because you would not store a boat in the house usually, so Aisling would focus on outside, I guess.
Then Wahrnehmung, first of all. Oh, she crits. Okay, Siobhan critted.
I failed. I rolled a 3 with a 9. I'm not getting far.
Okay, so she critted on a 26. Siobhan finds something, and you hear her suck in her breath. Now let's see if she knows what she has found. Let's see. Oh, she rolled a 13 on her 98 magic arcana. She holds up something that looks like it's completely round. It's a sphere, and it is very shiny. And she holds it in front of you, and it's about this big, so like a really big marble. She says, I don't know what this is, but I will find out. But I can tell you already, this is magical. And it's not divine. Someone has cast a spell on this thing, and it's eminently powerful magic.
Maybe we should ask Tilda if she has ever seen that. We don't know if this is normal in this lands.
So you show this to her?
I would have Siobhan touch. I think Aisling would not touch it. Aisling would just look at it, but tell Siobhan that we need to show this shit to Tilda. Maybe she's seen things like that before.
She looks at this and she says, no, what is it?
That's on Siobhan to answer. Aisling stays away from magical stuff.
I will have to spend some time with this. I will have to pray. But maybe my goddess will grant me some kind of insight. But I can tell you it's... And then she turns to Tilda and she says a couple of words. And Tilda's eyes become really wide and she just shakes her head vigorously. And Siobhan raises her hands in like a calming gesture and she says, well, and she turns to you and she says, I just asked her if her cousin was a witch. And she just flat out denies it. And I believe her.
Well,
but whoever put this here
didn't like her.
Well, I'm not sure, but it's definitely a very powerful spell. It could be something completely innocuous, but then again, why place it here, you know?
And now missing.
And now missing, that is my point.
I will start building a raft because I cannot find a boat.
Should we maybe not go into the town first?
Oh, as far as we understood Tilda, they don't really care about her outside here.
Well,
do they?
That's true, but maybe we should just... Maybe they both ran into the town to run away from whatever here is.
Yeah, let's... We still got a little bit of light, I suspect, so let's do that. Maybe someone is also willing at least to lend us a boat.
Mm-hmm. Do you take the horses? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I would offer Tilda that she can sit behind me, because Storm easily can carry two.
Mm-hmm. She's happy to do this, and you notice that she's completely at home on a horse, so probably horses are okay where she is, and maybe, you know, like she's ridden on farm horses, you know. So you make your way back to the village. Now that you're all riding, it's a little bit faster. And you come on a little bit of a... It's almost like somebody's having a rally or something. There's a man standing in front of a house.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the house is a little veranda, so he's basically a little bit elevated, maybe 2 steps.
Yep.
And there are people around him, and they shout, "Off with her head! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the child killer!" And he raises his hands, and you can now roll on mention Kentness if you've got this skill.
I don't think so. Oh, no, I gained it somewhere.
You gained it.
Burn the witch, burn the... Did I get it right? Child killer?
Yeah.
Mention Kentness. There it is. Not much. No, far away from success.
Okay, so you don't need to run your mention Kentness by the people that are there. They are really upset
angry,
and they're angry. And he's basically saying, well, you know the law. We all need to calm down because we all need to have a fresh memory and a fresh brain tomorrow, because tomorrow we will have a trial. And only if the trial finds her guilty can we have an execution, and even then we need to wait at least 3 days. You know the law. We cannot just go round killing people just because we feel that they are guilty. And he has a very monotone way of speaking, and you notice that he is trying to convince them, but he's not succeeding. He's also a small person, so he's not really very imposing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first egg starts flying, and he gets it straight in the face.
I think with the first egg flying, Aisling would whistle very loudly.
Heads fling towards you.
And she would just wave, and she would look at Siobhan and Tilda. We need to ask for help. This is not important at the moment.
Tilda starts speaking, and she speaks really fast now. So even Siobhan, you can tell, is probably only getting every other word. And then the man on the porch, he starts waving to her, and she says, That's Dale Fairsmith. He's the burgomaster, and I'm afraid I've got really bad news. They've got Callista. They think that she's killed Carl.
What?
She's in custody. She's in the cell.
Carl is dead?
I don't know. I mean, that's what they're saying. I don't know. I mean, she would never. I mean, why would she kill her?
Ask who can tell us what happened.
Well, he says we can talk to her.
Well, but they must have found her somewhere.
Yes, she's in the cell.
Yeah, but how did she get there?
She talks to him. She came to the village saying that he was missing.
Okay. And let's talk to your cousin. And I think Aisling would, like, in her own language, would be like, "Excuse me," and she would carefully lead Storm that he tiptoes towards the Burgermeister, just in the middle of the crowd, because she wants to really make a distraction. She should be careful, not storming through, but be like, "Excuse me, sorry," and probably in between asking Siobhan, "What is sorry in this language?" Just that she can throw that in between as well. And then she will jump off the horse basically in front of the Burgermeister and will help Tilda, although probably she does need help to get off the horse as well.
Let me just see. The people part in front of you, but very reluctantly so. They are not really happy that you're interfering. But also it seems like maybe some of them have come to their senses, and maybe the idea of somebody physically attacking their elected leader was maybe one step too far, so they are kind of grumbling. But they're letting you pass, and they're also giving Dale Fairsmith some space. So he shakes Tilda's hand, and he says, and he speaks to you, and Siobhan basically, Tilda explains apparently that you don't speak his language, and so Siobhan is going to translate, and Siobhan says, well, he's basically greeting us, and he holds out his hand.
Aisling will shake his hand.
And he then basically speaks a lot more slowly so that Siobhan can understand. And it turns out that Callista came and said that the son was missing, the stepson. And that they went to the house and he was not there.
Yeah.
And that basically she was the last one to see him.
But they have not found a body. Would Aisling, probably in between, after when he's talking, like, do they have a body of the boy?
No. But
they have seen the animal trails that
she
dragged
asks, and he
something
shakes
out
his
there.
head no.
Well, next time look first. Aisling would just mutter.
Siobhan looks
Siobhan
at you.
put it probably in a nicer way, I suspect. Like, well, we looked closely and found animal trails from the kid's bedroom.
And then he basically says a couple of words, and then you can see also that Siobhan is beginning to frown. And then she says, all right, there is more to this.
Okay.
You know that she's the stepmother.
Yeah, well, yes.
When her husband died, it turned out that he had written her out of his will. So all belongs to the son. And if only if he dies without her family, will she get anything. And then she looks at Tilda and basically then again at you, and she says, and also she's had a sweetheart for the last couple of months. So people are thinking She got rid of the son to inherit. It's not easy. They believe that she threw him into the swamp.
I think Aisling would look at Tilda. Do you believe that your cousin could do something so horrible?
No! You don't know her. Of course she wouldn't. I mean, why would she do that?
Well, to have the farm.
Are you mad?
I'm just asking questions. Aisling would be like, we're just trying to understand the situation.
Well, then maybe ask her yourself.
We definitely should.
So basically Dale has been listening to all of this, and then he interjects that if you want, you can speak to her. She's in the cell.
Thank you. And Aisling would tie the horses wherever it's possible. And then, yeah, I guess we go inside.
You go inside, and there is basically one cell, and it's not even a cell. It's just a room with a really big door and a thick door, and you can see like there's a little window through it. Bless you. And you can open this, and then you can look inside, and you see a woman, maybe late 20s, 29 maybe, quite good looking. But when Tilda said that she wasn't exactly a small woman, that's true. So she weighs more than Siobhan does.
But she's not as tall as Aisling is, I suspect.
No. But she is somebody who you would say is used to a lot of physical work. But she may like her ale or her pie. But she has actually friendly face normally, you would say, but at the moment she has been crying, obviously, and she doesn't look like she's been harmed, but she just doesn't look well. I mean, she's under a lot of stress, so we're not. Yeah.
Well,
and then Tilda
best
says,
case, it will calm her that Tilda is there.
Callista, it's me. And Callista looks up, and you can see that she starts crying immediately again, and basically, but Siobhan tells you that she's very happy to see her, and she's like, I didn't do it, I don't know why they think I would. Why would I want to do that?
Ask her. Well, after those two just
and basically the man unlocks the door, and he says, you can go inside, I will wait outside. I'm not locking the door behind you, but if you help her escape, we will find you.
Yeah, well, our horses are outside. I'm not leaving them in your care. You don't have to worry. Aisling would just try to Siobhan in a nicely way to put that. Like, he has the horses that are very important to us.
He nods. Do you go into the cell? Or into that room?
Aisling would not go into the cell, but she would give through Siobhan that Callista should just tell what happened.
I woke up in the morning, as usual, and I made breakfast. He likes to sleep in, because he's out and about most days. And I went into his room to wake him up, and he was gone. And the window was open. And it looked like, I don't know, he had climbed out the window maybe, I don't know. And then I went looking, but I couldn't find him. So I ran into the village and I told them. And they went back to the house and searched the house and said that there was no trace of him, and also he would never be so stupid as to go outside at night, because if you end up in the swamp at night, you will certainly drown. And then they thought it was me because I wanted to inherit and build a life with Peter.
I think Aisling would try with Menschenkenntnis to read Tilda a little bit, because she can't even focus on what is said because she doesn't understand, so she can try to focus on the body language.
You get advantage on this. You can roll twice.
Let's see. I will roll the second time, but I rolled a 19, so 22. Yeah, so 22, success.
Perfect. You can get a practice point for this.
Oh god, now I need to remember what the hell are practice points.
It says PP.
Wait. Well, not for that, because it's not on that side of...
Is it not?
No, it's on the right. I have left side where I also have PP and bonuses and so on, and I have the right side.
Then it means you're not trained in it.
Yeah.
So you can still use it, but at a very... Okay,
Yeah.
but that's fine. You still managed. Okay. So, yeah, and I think the fact that you are actually not understanding what she's saying means she can't really lie to you, but you're just relying on her facial expressions and her behavior. And it sounds really, it seems all super genuine.
Okay.
She is distraught, which again could be because she's been thrown into jail and people are threatening her with a trial and possible execution. But she also, you have the feeling as she's recounting the story, that she is actually remembering something that happened rather than something that she's making up. Or she made up and prepared. Yeah.
I think Aisling would just, because Siobhan would translate afterwards, Aisling would ask back if they had troubles with wild animals, because we saw wild animal traces, different ones, on his windowsill outside.
No, there aren't really any wild animals in the swamp. I mean, there are beavers.
No.
And bison rats, but they are like this. And she holds up her hands, and there isn't really any dangerous wildlife. I mean, the swamp itself is dangerous if you fall in, but the wildlife is, frogs. We don't even have snakes.
When Aisling gets that translation, Aisling would just look at Siobhan. Should we show her the sphere thing? Have a close look how she reacts.
Sure. And
make sure you keep it.
And she holds out her hand like this, and she says something in Altoquin, and
Aisling would again focus on body language of Callista.
And Tilda looks at Callista looks at it, and then she says something, and Siobhan closes her hand around the object, and she turns to him. She says she's never seen this before.
What? Well, let's see. Menschenkenntnis again. No. This time I can't get a result fitting.
Let's see.
Well, it's hard for me to roll. I only have a +3, so.
Yeah, she doesn't get a positive result either. It would help if we knew what it was. I will spend some time with this tonight.
And it would help to find his body.
This is the one thing that I mean, you know that you don't really need a body to convict someone as long as this person is...
No, but it would
help. No, but I mean, you know that even in your own culture, if somebody vanishes and somebody is kind of like under suspicious circumstances.
We also have the witch thingy,
Yeah.
I'm quite sure, at home as well. I think Aisling has more the hope that she doesn't find a body, but the boy somewhere. That's basically here. Or he's really torn to pieces by animals or something like that. Although that could still be discussing because she put him in the swamp, someone. No? But,
What do you want to do? Go into the swamp? Try and get a boat?
yes. If I understood right, we have 3 days to show them that she did not kill the boy. Someone else dragged him off.
Well, the trial is tomorrow, and even then, if it's a negative result, we still have at least 3 days, so we have 4.
They will. They are sure of her doing this. And from a logical point of view, I kind of understand.
I'm not so sure about this Dale Fairsmith. He seems to be unconvinced.
Yeah, but he's one of many. I think
But
the
if
only
he
thing.
is the law, and if he really will listen to reason.
The thing is, he wanted to stop the mob from lynching her, basically, because he wants to follow the rules. I don't think he will go against everyone else. He looked like a friendly guy, but not a very strong guy. Let's talk to him and see if he can help us to organize a boat to find evidence.
He's outside. He is actually standing near the horses and he's talking to them.
Oh,
And Siobhan basically holds you back and she says, oh, he's telling them that they're lovely horses and that they have really, really lovely ears.
well. He definitely gets bonus points from us for that.
He sees you coming and he's kind of like straightening up a little and basically putting his hands behind his back because he had been giving them ear scratches, kind of like...
No, and I think Aisling would like not Siobhan tell him that it's totally fine. They deserve a little bit of treats.
She tells him and he smiles and then he bounces on the balls of his feet and he keeps kind of like petting them, and it's obvious that he seems to like animals, or maybe horses especially, but he's like...
I think Aisling especially would have looked also for the behavior of the horses, because horses have a fine nose for people they don't like, and it seems like they like him.
Well, Percy's trying to get into his pockets because he might have some food. And Stodham is kind of like, someone's giving me the attention that I deserve.
Yeah, but at least they are not like, hey, what is he? Get away.
No.
Then. Well, we should tell him about, again, in Peace and Quiet, that we found trails from the window of the boy towards the swamp, and we would need some kind of a boat to search the swamp, because we suspect the boy is somewhere there and not dead.
Siobhan waves to him and basically says something, and she says, I think we should go inside. And he follows you, then he closes the door and he points to the chairs that are in this. This is basically like an office. So there's a desk, and there are papers on it, and in front of it are chairs that people can sit, and he goes behind the desk, takes his chair, puts it in front of the desk, so that it's basically more like a circle, that you're all sitting in a circle together, rather than everybody kind of like he's sitting in behind the desk and you sitting in front. And you can see that he seems to have a different job. So as you know, they get elected, but he's probably not a politician by trade, because he's got very calloused, very broad, big hands. So whatever he does,
he's working with his hands.
Yeah, he at least maybe not at the moment if this is a full-time job, but
he knows hard labor, as it seems.
Yeah,
he does
for
him.
Yeah, he does. And he basically puts his hands on his legs, and you feel like the next thing he would like to do is order a tankard of ale, because he's really had a very hard and rough day. And he looks at you expectantly. And so basically, do you proceed to tell him about the animals.
Well, I would ask Siobhan that she tells him what we found with the trail and that we believe the boy is somewhere in the swamp and not as a dead body right in front of the swamp.
He listens and then he basically says something and Siobhan translates, he can't imagine what this is.
Well, I only know it's there and...
No, he's not disbelieving, but, you asked her, did she know of any animals? And he says he doesn't either. But the only thing that he can offer is, yes, he can give us a boat. All right, that's not a problem.
That would be good. Ask him if he knows about any stories of things, creatures in the swamp. Like fairy tale things you tell the kids to not go in the swamp to.
And he basically puts his hands behind his head, and then he leans back and he starts telling a story, as it seems, and it's the story of the swamp witch who lives there in the gasping swamp, and she is the wise woman, and you would go to her if you had a sweetheart and you wanted maybe a little love charm, or if you had a problem with your toothache and things like that, or you wanted your cow to calve without any problems. And she would live there, and every so often she would come to the village in the form of a butterfly and then just make the milk go sour.
When Aisling gets the translation, she will look at Siobhan. Should we maybe ask Callista if she wished for anything? Like Peter falling in love with her or anything like that maybe, and she had to pay a price she didn't know she had to pay? Because that sphere would fit to witch.
We could ask her. So do you proceed to ask her?
Yeah, I would ask Siobhan to ask, because Aisling is kind of useless at the moment.
Okay,
she really is like, I need to learn this.
Mm-hmm. So Siobhan asks permission to speak to Tilda, to Callista again, and Dale
Aisling
is
would
acquiescing, and he's like...
Aisling would stay put in her seat, because...
So Tilda and Siobhan both go and join Callista, and when Siobhan gets back, and they are away for a good 15 minutes or so, when she gets back she says, I think you're right, it wasn't her, it was her husband and his wife, they wanted a child. And they went to the witch to have a child.
And they got a child?
They had Carl.
Right. They are both not alive, so I have no idea what the conditions were.
But this would explain the object. I believe this may be something like an eye. Maybe the fairy godmother wanted to keep an eye on her godson.
Mm-hmm. Should we share that with him?
Maybe not just now.
Yeah.
I've asked Tilda not to tell anyone, and also Callista.
I think let's ask Tilda if she wants to stay here for the night, and we will see that we get a boat by morning light, or now that we can start tomorrow morning.
Tilda actually makes the suggestion herself. She doesn't want to leave her cousin alone.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion as well.
And Dale basically suggests that she can sleep in the cell as well. He will put in a second bed. And what you did notice, although you didn't go inside, there was food there, there was water there. She was being taken care of. I mean, the situation is terrible, but she wasn't being badly treated.
Yeah, so all points to the Bürgermeister is a good, decent human that is, well, he does his job. That's, I think, the thing. Then it would be just a discussion with Dale on how to get a boat as quick as possible to the house.
Well, there are some boats along the way. You probably didn't see them because they're in the tall grass. But you can just pick one. I will show you where they are, and then you can just basically use one of the horses to drag it to the house, and then you can leave the horses there and then set out from there.
That's a good idea, thank you.
So he basically goes, and really, if you don't know where to look, you really don't see them because they're in this really tall. What's schilf in English? You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
This really tall.
That is a good
swamp grass kind of thing.
Let's see. I have translation quite quickly on my phone. When we both hear it, we are like, probably. Reed. Obviously.
Yes, of course. So in the tall reed, they are hidden, but you know, when somebody points them out, you actually see them. So you basically tie one to Percy's saddle, and then Percy can drag it no problem. And you arrive at the house. But it's now night already. Do you want to set out at night, or do you want to wait till the next morning?
To the swamp, not. So we would drag the boat whatever time of day, but going into the swamp the next morning.
So you basically leave. So you're now alone in the house. And you leave the horses in the stable. You look after them as you normally would.
Yeah,
I think you tie off the boat.
Yeah, we tie off the boat. I think Aisling A would ask definitely Siobhan that we make sure the eye is covered somewhere. Not too close to us. If it's an eye or whatever it is. Because it might also be that they can listen through it. Then honestly they heard too much anyhow. And I think Aisling would use a little bit of the evening to clean up. To put chairs back up. To clean everything up a little bit, because the town people or village people, they made a huge mess. But it explains why the money's still there, because they weren't there for the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
She casts a spell.
Okay.
Which is recognizing magic. She casts it successfully so. And she then tells you that her goddess has granted her insight. And it is in fact a way to scry. And whatever this sphere sees, as it were, would be seen by whoever placed it here. So they have seen us.
Well, then open it up. Aisling would look at the sphere.
You want to open the sphere?
No, just that the sphere is visible.
Okay.
Not open, but
break it open.
No, break it open, but like it's there.
You reveal it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Aisling, I think, would put it on her hand, and she would just stare at it in a not very friendly face, and she would just growl in a quite low voice in her own language. I will come for you, and you will regret this.
Okay.
And I think then Aisling would look at Siobhan. She would just destroy it.
I don't know how.
Aisling would let it fall on the floor and try to just step with a big stomp on it. See what happens. You never know. We've been careful with it so far.
Okay, then I would say, roll on strength or make an. Do you have brawling or something?
Oh god, that's a good question. Let me see what I have.
You have gezielter Hieb tatsächlich.
Yeah, I don't know what it does because it has no values.
Roll on it.
Let's see. No, then I have to choose on which part of the body.
Oh, okay.
So that's not what we need. Oh god, now I'm out of the character sheet. good. No.
Well, there are two things. You could use Faustkampf or you could use Raufen.
Okay,
Your
first of
Raufen
all,
is better.
yeah, I need to get my character back again because I got kicked out completely, because that is the one weakness. If you go down the road, you are not able to return easily. A Faustkampf may be an option.
Or
Although
Raufen.
she's Ringen, you mean?
There's Ringen underneath it, and to your left, underneath the dial, you have Raufen.
To the left, underneath the dial. Oh, there I see it. Yeah, let's do Raufen because she's using basically her feet.
No?
No. I only rolled a 10. That's not enough.
Okay, it's a good thing it wasn't a natural one. So
No. It was closer to getting it or not, but it's more like ow.
you
because-
step on it,
Yeah.
but oh boy. A, that hurt. B, there's not a scratch on it.
I think Aisling would take it outside. She would put it on like a stone and she would try to swing her sword.
Okay, then use your longsword.
Though she's a bit worried that she will break it, but well. Let's see. It's 28, so it's a success.
You split the thing in two.
Does anything happen?
No.
She would hand it over to Siobhan again. Does it still feel magic for you?
Let's see. Oh, 4/98. Yes, it's still magical, but I don't know if it's still working, if that's what you mean. Do you want me to cover it up?
Yeah.
She puts it away in a bag and then places the bag outside the cabin or the house.
Definitely should not take it with us tomorrow, because it might tell whoever brought this here that we are coming. Although, honestly, they will know, but maybe they are not then as easy. We'll find that boy. And she might lose her head.
You mean the witch of the swamp?
Yes.
It's
if I'm
interest-
nice.
Ashley.
She stole a kid, and another woman will die. I don't care how witchy and supernatural and probably old. The older they get, the weirder they get.
You. It's now completely dark. So
yeah,
basically,
I think we will eat a little bit, probably from what we have still from traveling. I don't think we will rummage through, except something is really obviously lying around that looks like food, maybe. And we will see that at least we find a bed that we can just plunk ourselves in.
It's not a problem. You go to sleep. Do you set up watches?
No, I think I would. Well, they came through the window, didn't they? I think Aisling would have pulled two beds, or one bed, depending on the size, into like the living quarter part.
Yeah, you can do that.
More in the middle of the room, not close to a window, and she would have barricaded the door from inside, like with a chair behind it or something like that, just to make it a little bit safer. And then I don't think we need to have watches.
Okay, so but kind of Siobhan is kind of like, let's just close all the doors. So she closes the door to the corridor. The front door is closed anyway.
Yeah.
You pull shut the shutters for the windows. and then you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And you wake up the next morning, and we shall see in 2 weeks' time what happens.
We're going into the swamp to
You are going
find
into the swamp.
witch.
So,
What could go wrong?
and Diabasis actually means to go across or to go beyond.
Which makes sense.
Yes, and I would like to thank you for playing.
Thank you for leading, and thank you for putting us into the ancestor world, so we can learn a little bit about our roots.
Yes, and for those of you who are interested, this adventure that we're playing currently comes from Witches, Fae and Foes by Jonathan and Beth Bell. It's tabletop duets, so it's basically all games that are played with one dungeon master and one player. So they're written for this, and this one is called The Witch in the Swamp.
So let's see what happens in 2 weeks.
So we thank you all for listening, for watching, whenever you are listening to this and enjoying what we're telling. And we will talk to you soon, and have a lovely rest of the day, evening or night.
Stay safe, guys.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.
O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fojo, hi mi gondalan taches and trukuk mi, kerer oram feilches a chan en a hukas mi, jev mi an eigus gran rukim, nach rechking tunich en or. O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fuicho.